Psychologically, these insect-like species are less empathic than humans. Some of them consider us to be mentally, biologically, and culturally underdeveloped, among other reasons. And for this very reason, as a kind of healing, they only want to integrate us into their system, their club of different species. Okay, I get it. So because they lack empathy, so they can't see it. So they're not, just like saying the brains are not entirely formed. So something about their form is not entirely formed, and they're probably as intelligent and as smart as their body permits them to be. So if you don't have the capacity to see fully then you're only as smart as you can be. You know, if you consciousness, like if you like they cannot project and see things holistically because they lack that feature within them. It's just a limitation of their body. So I guess intelligence is also subjective. It's like they're only as smart as their bodies allow them to be, which is what they're trying to do with humans. You know, when you hear about the vaccines, they're trying to remove the God particle, because they don't have the God particle. They don't understand it. So to them, it's like wild, useless. They cannot predict what it is. It's unpredictable to them. It's dangerous. So they want to remove that God particle within the humans. They don't understand it, and they never will, because their body, they just don't have it. So I would say they are a less holistic, less intelligent being, holistically, just because of their body. Okay, so that is why they're more stupid. They're just they're dumb species. Because they're not whole. But they can like put their focus on technology and like make that, they can advance technology, like they can advance it as much as they can. They can advance it further and further and further, but they cannot ever advance spirituality, compassion, empathy. They're not smarter than humans then, because they're maybe in some aspects, but I think humans has the brain capacity to outsmart them because we are more holistic. We have the capacity to learn about technology and AI. We could learn everything that they can learn, plus more, because our bodies are a more holistic, inclusive system. And they just don't understand that. So they don't see it. So they just go, whatever. You're uncontrollable. Therefore, you're more dumb than us. Because they don't have that smartness within them to see it, to recognize it. All right. So they consider us to be mentally, biologically, and culturally underdeveloped, among other reasons, just because they don't have it, which is understandable, but understandable through my eyes because I can see it. Because again, I am holistic, and they are lacking. It makes sense. I understand, but they can never understand me. So they have no reason to look down on us. They're just freaking stupid. But again, they're stupid body type, this stupid species. They've already excelled to their capacity. They're smart, intelligent for their body, for their species, but compared to others who are on a full spectrum, they are very dumb. Okay? And for this very reason, as a kind of healing, they only want to integrate us into their system, their club of different species, because it's the only thing I understand. They want us to be like them. We're uncontrollable. They don't understand us, so they look at us with disdain. You know, what the frick? You know. Interviewer asks, so these insects are cold and calculating? Alexander says yes, but it keeps within limits. They are capable of learning. There are worse things than insect-like species, because compared to the intelligent octopods or polypods in this club, insectoids or other species such as some of the avianoid or reptiloid species in this association seem as empathetic as the dearest mother is to her child. Okay, so we were just talking about the insectoids. Those are the ones who don't have a full capacity to know more than their form. Okay, so now I guess that was just insectoids. Now they haven't, I lumped the reptilians into there. Did I? But you know, if I did, no, I just talked about the insects, I guess. The reptiloids, I was talking about titties. Mammary glands, titties. Okay, so the insectoids have a inferior form of body type compared to us. I don't want to say inferior, more like a less developed, okay? It's not inferior, it's just less developed. Doesn't mean one is worse than the other. Okay. Most octopoids or multipeds, whether soft or with hard limbs, were predators, cannibals, and extreme loners in their animal history. However, since the development of higher intelligence requires a cooperation and community, most of the octopods, in view of their dominant biology, took an evolutionary path that enabled them to live together as a community on a pure cost-benefit principle. Instinct and their already excellent thinking apparatus were shaped in such a way they could come together, organize, and live together in a collective on purely logical and advantageous principles of life and guiding principles. Their social behavior, actions, and thinking are therefore based almost exclusively on purely logical or purposeful approaches. In contrast to us, they do not additionally feel connected or close to each other because of empathic feelings and emotions, but experience the reasons for this on an almost purely intelligent, instinctive level, that of a pure benefit principle. Interviewer says that is uncanny. Alexander Laurent replies, yes, because these beings had to define themselves entirely through their intelligence in order to be able to act constructively with each other. A very pragmatic, calculating, and cool spirit developed in evolutionary terms. This meant that each individual instinctively reduced itself completely to its usefulness for the collective in the form of performance, security, food acquisition, struggle, defense. Later, this was also very advantageous compared to the technical development of a civilization, which was also the reason why some of the 8 or multi-footed species became very successful with their system, methods, and techniques. However, if we know that the transformation of biological beings into energetic data is a gruesome, self-destructive aberration, these developed systems are again very ill-conceived, bad, and nonsensical because their creators fundamentally misguided the role of existence and life. Which makes me question, why do we have these bodies? We have to eat to maintain them. We have to sleep to maintain them. We have to clothe them. We have to do... Why even have bodies then? You know, why so much work? You know, why not just have consciousness? Then you don't have to feed the body, you know? You don't have to like have anybody enslave you or control you and use you for energy and living batteries and food. If we didn't have bodies, we didn't have to feed them. We wouldn't have all this, you know? Why can't we just be pure energy, like darting here and there, like little balls of light, bouncing around, floating around in the ether, having fun? I don't know what's wrong with that. But we gotta eat, so then we can crap, and then we have to sleep. I don't know, it's just so redundant. In order to survive, consciousness is alive anyways, it's surviving anyways. Why do we have to enter this body to do all those things? So we could experience limitation, I guess, to know ourselves, maybe, so we could get rid of the, maybe it's the only way Source knew how to transmit Source's shadow self, shadow side, because I think everybody here on this planet, their job here is to turn negativity into positivity, transmute your shadow side, you know, and to learn how, like the Buddha says, your own attachments, to get rid of all attachments to pain and suffering, you know, to get rid of your emotional attachments, and then you could be free. So maybe we're here to learn about our shadow sides through each individual who is a fragment of the whole. And when every single person has learned how to do that, maybe we can come back together as a whole after Source has got to know itself. That's all I know, because that's what I'm doing here on Earth. You just get rid of all your attachments. Not in a mental capacity, but through your subconscious, and emotional healing. Not through mental healing, not psychiatry. It doesn't work through mind. You have to go through the subconscious. You have to do acupressure points. Acupressure. This is the realm of your emotions and your subconscious. Your acupressure points. Anyways, Tat Life, TATLIFE, Tat Life. It's emotional healing, tapping, faster EFT tapping, you know? That is to go into your subconscious and heal your emotions, heal PTSD, transmute your shadow self, make way and make your life open more. When you transmute the negative, then you can get downloads of the divine. All right, anyways. Where was I? I don't know where I left off. Just gonna, this is uncanny. Here we go. This, I don't know where I left off. I'm gonna just continue here. This is uncanny. Alexander Laurent says, yes, because these beings had to define themselves entirely through their intelligence in order to be able to act constructively with each other. A very pragmatic, calculating, and cool spirit developed in evolutionary terms. This meant that each individual instinctively reduced itself completely to its usefulness for the collective. In the form of performance security food, I read that already. Later, this was also very advantageous compared to the technical development of a civilization, which was also the reason why some of these 8 or multi-footed species became very successful with their systems, methods, and techniques. However, if we know that the transformation of biological beings into energetic data is a gruesome... I already read that. Many of these cold species are also of this nature because they were exposed to very adverse, hostile conditions on their planets and moons throughout their evolution, especially irregular earthquakes, which made their life and survival evolutionary very pragmatic because death lurked around every corner and could kill anything and everything. From the more normality of death occurring at any time, icy cold instincts of thought, action, and survival developed. There was very little room for the development of empathy and compassion for such species, which, for example, developed on moons permanently shaken by earthquakes. Okay, so they did that to survive. That's why they lack that compassion, empathic part, because they were too busy surviving. They had to strengthen those other senses to survive. So they didn't have it. They weren't able to be in a good place where all that physical survival stuff was taken care of so they can work on their spiritual development. They didn't have that. So it's understandable, you know. That's why we can't always be so judgy. Because they're like that for a reason. They did the best they could, you know, with what they got. Okay, well, under certain aspects, one could say that they are the rulers of the material universe because they are not, but they are not. You could say they are the rulers of the material universe, but no, they are not. They only dominate it with questionable techniques and presumptuous philosophical, existential constructs that they like to impose on others. Their intelligence and social evolution is a productive development, but not an intuitive or constructive empathic one. If, from our human point of view, one can speak of development at all. They're underdeveloped for good reason. Survival mode. And they want to put us into survival mode too. So like, we're busy working, being financial slaves to their space system to just feed ourselves. So it keeps us from developing spiritually because they keep our lives so hard, you know. But I guess it's all they know. So it's like a trickle down you know, trickles down. Interviewer, that sounds rather bizarre, like a kind of absolutism. And why do these octopuses act so dominant in the universe? Why do they do that? Can't they do otherwise? Laurent says, they lack a considerable part of emotional intelligence and thus a considerable part of our human mind. So I guess these are who are ruling, are a mix of different alien species. These are our rulers, the one who are cold and calculating and lack development. Lack development. Okay. They lack a considerable part of emotional intelligence, and that's a considerable part of our human mind, the emphatic interpretation and association skills. Humans and other living beings who possess intelligence, which is also based on empathy and the constructive use of emotionality, cannot imagine how it is possible that an intelligent living being could lack these qualities. It's hard for us to imagine because we do not lack it. We can't dull one of our senses. We can close our eyes and imagine we're blind and walk around. I guess we can do that. But when I talk to somebody that's less intelligent than I am or have less consciousness, and I have to dull down my intelligence to be able to interact with people who have less consciousness. I don't want to say it like I'm better than them, but I'm just listing facts, okay? I'm not saying I'm better. I'm not saying, oh, I'm so much smarter than them. I'm just saying when I speak to people, it's like speaking to children whose brain has not developed yet, and all day long you're speaking to children and you have to dumb down your intelligence. And it's exhausting. It's tiring. You have to seek intelligent people to talk to later on. Like new mothers, they complain like they're so lonely because they're just talking like they're trying to match their intelligence and brain level to their children, and if they're around their children all day long, they're just so lonely. They're desperate for some intelligent conversation. So you have to dumb yourself down, and when dumbing yourself down, talking to people who are less intelligent than you, it's just exhausting. It's tiring, drains you. Anyways, but it is so that these beings lack these qualities, okay? It is so. If one had to describe the seemingly absurd aspects of octopods and millipedes, as well as many insectoids and reptile species, okay, so they're all like that. They lump it the same. They are not balanced. They're not balanced. Perhaps the best comparison would be with an autistic person. Got it, okay? Autistic people can be very, very intelligent, like genius level in one aspect and then they can hone into that one thing. Like it can be hone into math and be like a mathematical genius, but then on the other aspects of being human emotionally or even mentally, they lack in those areas, and they just exceed at that one focus point that they succeed at, that they're genius at, that they're brilliant at. It's just that one focal point, and they lack other areas that help them function and live independently in this world. I mean, it's done. They can live independently, but they're always going to have some unbalance. Okay, anyways. An autistic person with Asperger's syndrome with special talent in the field of mathematical physics, but who is unable to understand why and how his fellow human beings want to come together socially out of empathic social conviviality, and togetherness. That's a new word for me. CONVIV. Conviviality. I know what viality is. Conviviality and togetherness. I'm guessing it just means togetherness. And who does not understand himself in an emotionally comprehensible way how the rules, order, and social benefits work in this coming together. For the species of the club, this means that they cannot personally, socially comprehend in details what the spiritual, intuitive added value of empathy and emotionality is, how it feels. They can understand this as best factually, hence the comparison with an autistic person who can also understand the sense of sociability and togetherness factually. He simply has no access to it because his brain is not so interconnected. I guess it's like narcissists. Some of them during childhood, they had to survive and cope with so much trauma, and their growth is stunted, and they are always at this childlike level, and then they stunted at the child level, and then they live life through a false reality. It's all in their head. It's all ego-based. It's all to make up for the insecurity. It's all delusional, So their brain stopped progressing at a young child age because of so much trauma. And so the narcissist doesn't really have the correct social skills because they weren't really taught the correct social skills because they were probably, they didn't have a good life. They were neglected. They didn't have the support system. They didn't have good peers in their life to emulate. So they can observe and see how normal people behave, and they can mimic it, but they don't have it within them, so they don't ever do it correctly. You see of all those criminal documentaries of these people in the interrogation rooms, and they're trying to appear normal, and they're trying to act like they are normal, but it's off. It's weird. And you can tell it's weird. They're not normal, and they're just trying to imitate compassion and empathy, and they'll pretend to cry because they think that's the right thing to do, that people do. It's an imitation. It's not real. It's not felt. So narcissism falls under this too. Okay. The brain is not so interconnected. Yeah, something wrong. It didn't develop right. But he can do mathematical physics. It is similar with the octopods and millipedes. They are dazzlingly intelligent, no question, impressive, can do great things, but are socially abnormal in our terms, are spiritually wooden and intuitively very poorly equipped, almost starved, one might say. So I'm going to say they're narcissistic is a better comparison than autism. Because they were forced to be this way by harsh conditions. Autism can be like heavy metal built up in the brain, so which prevents proper brain development. but it's not due to trauma per se. So this is more in line with narcissism, the nefarious alien species who run the world, the earth. Yeah, it's more narcissistic behavior than autism. Interviewer says, there seem to be many remarkable patterns and phenomena in this universe. Is there more to tell about them, about conspicuous or strange things, about extraterrestrial worlds? Okay, we're going to pause there. It's been 30 minutes. I'm going to continue the next video. See you in the next video when I'll repeat this question and we'll answer it.